No, I'm not going to sing it. The wheels on the bus go round and round, but only if people behind the scenes make sure that happens. All things transportation coming up next on The Inside Scoop. Hello and welcome back to The Inside Scoop. I'm David Owen. In this episode, we're going to learn how Cobb's bus fleet is kept safe, why routes can change mid-year, the impacts of winter and springtime weather, and much more. Stick around to the end, and you'll learn something new is on the horizon. First, as always, like, subscribe, and share this episode with another parent. They'll be glad you did. Cobb is known for excellence in many areas, but did you know that includes our transportation department too? Here to give us the scoop on all things transportation is the Senior Executive Director, Mike Quigg. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So just to get us started, tell us a little bit about you and your background and what led you to your current position in Cobb Schools.
Yeah, no, thank you. So for me, I'm a Cobb County dad. I've been in Cobb County for a very long time, 22-ish years.
Oh.
And my kids, my wife and I have 4 children. All 4 of them went to school here in Cobb County. A little shout out to still Loving Good in Hillgrove. So, a cluster I know very well.
Yeah.
But very much so involved in the school district. Was a band dad for several years, helping with the transportation team.
That's commitment right there.
That's a lot of commitment there. And then also taught and coached basketball for many years in the Little Hawks League. So at times coached three teams at one time.
You are definitely immersed in the community for sure.
Very much so. Very much so.
That's wonderful. Now, you in Cobb for 22 years, I think
Correct.
you said. So. But what about your current position? How long have you been the Senior Executive Director?
So I've been here since end of July. So we're not on a year yet.
Yeah.
And, in my time here, I've really had an opportunity to get to know the team, understand what we do here. And really transportation is not all that different. What I, talk to my team about and what they hear me say all the time is, I've done a lot of things in my career from a transportation standpoint. But the cargo that we have here at Cobb County is much more precious than what I've ever touched before.
Yes, absolutely.
And, so safety is always top of our mind. It's always the first thing that we think about in anything that we do here.
Yeah, so being a Cobb dad, as you say, you had, during earlier years, I would presume, a vested interest of your own in that precious cargo. Your children rode the buses as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got a little feedback from the other side, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So safety is absolutely the top priority in the school district. The superintendent has said this over and over. It doesn't matter how well you educate if kids aren't safe and feeling safe in the classroom, but that also applies to getting there and going home at the end of the day.
Correct.
So what are some of the things happening behind the scenes every day that you and your staff do to make sure our buses are safe and students stay safe and feel safe?
Safety is really the thing that is paramount in everything we do. That is the first conversation that we have with anything as it pertains to the transportation of our students. But behind the scenes, specific things that we do, really starts with our drivers and our technicians. Our drivers do what we call a pre and a post-trip inspection of the vehicle itself to make sure that it's safe to be on the road. And if
excuse me for interrupting. You said a pre and post-trip. So
Correct.
every school day, they're doing before they drive out. They're looking, and at the end, wow.
Correct. Before and after. And any kind of defect, it could be a light bulb out, anything, is documented and goes to our maintenance team. And our maintenance team handles that particular situation at that time.
Okay. Wow. I had no idea that level of involvement by the bus drivers.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty amazing.
Then you go to the next step. So every day that's happening, and then every 20 days, our mechanics and technicians touch those buses for an inspection every 20 days.
Okay.
So not only are we touching it every day from a driver's perspective, then we're having that with our technicians. And then annually, we have an inspection every year by Department of Public Safety. So that's upon us here in April. We're going to do that. It's a 2-week process. So every one of our vehicles goes through that process and is inspected by DPS.
So we're recording this in the middle of the school year, and sometimes families see route adjustments happen, even though they've settled into a routine and everything seemed to be fine. But just out of curiosity, what drives that? What usually is the cause of that sort of change in the middle of the school year?
Well, there's really a handful of things that could drive a change beginning of year, mid-year, whenever it is in the school year. But some examples would be, if there's a construction project that comes up, I think about kind of in the Harrison, Allatoona area right now, there's a lot of road work being done, construction work on the road. So, and we get notified by the county when those projects take place.
Okay.
So when that happens, we plan that, we put it into our routing. There's situations where we might not even be able to get to a neighborhood. Sometimes roads are closed and we'll have to route around, and that's going to delay the time in which we get to a specific stop. So that's a pretty, that happens fairly often. But then we have other things like ridership. Ridership changes, so the counts on the buses go up and down. And to make sure that we're efficient with our routing, there may be some changes caused by that. And we have to take this conversation back to safety as well. Safety is always critical, and I'll give you an example. We have a school this year, Bells Ferry, that's undergoing some construction. There's a neighborhood right next door that is normally a walk zone school, and the families walk, to the school every day. But because of the construction and where the equipment is and sidewalks being blocked off, there isn't a way for those families to safely walk to and from home and school. So we have added a bus stop in that case to pick up those students and bring them to school versus putting them in a potentially unsafe situation.
And that is such an incredibly busy area too. I mean, that's huge. So we are moving into, I guess you could say we're still in winter technically, but it's very much a spring day on the day we're recording. Highs probably in the high 70s, I'm guessing, and pollen count through the roof as usual. It's Atlanta, right? But as we are moving from the wintertime and going into springtime, it's a notorious question mark weather-wise. It's either going to be ice storms and who knows what, or we're going to have tornadoes outbreak at some point. So how does the transportation department factor that stuff in as you're trying to serve, thousands and thousands of students every day?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And again, everything comes down to safety. What's the safest way for us to move students to and from school? And so from a transportation standpoint, we obviously stay very close to the weather channels. Make sure we're understanding what's going on out there on the roadways. And so we adjust what we do based on what we're seeing and we're hearing from those professionals that do that. And so we'll make those adjustments. But for example, in the winter, if we see the storms coming, and of course we're paying very close attention to what our leadership is saying as well. If school closes, obviously we have a completely different response than if we're going to be in school. So we just watch and we adjust. And I would say a winter storm, and let's just say like hurricanes and things like that, they're big, massive storms that we get a lot of notification on. And we get that, we can see that wide path of the storm, and we can make adjustments in advance. Correct. So that's key. Different in the season that we're coming into, where tornadoes are a little more prevalent. They kind of pop up and just come and go, and very volatile. So a little harder to plan on those events. But what I would say the first thing we do is if we're at the beginning of the school day or near dismissal, if we know that a severe storm is coming, the preference is not to board those students on the bus. We'd prefer to have them in the building where they're able to take shelter and be in a safe space.
And that can be different in different parts of the county too, right?
That's correct.
I mean, Cobb is a huge place.
That's correct. What's happening on the south side of town isn't necessarily what's happening on the north side of town. So, so we have to adjust accordingly. But if we are on the roadway and a storm pops up that we didn't see coming or there was no notification, our preference is to get them to a place where it's safe. Again, if we're passing a school, fire station, police station, somewhere we could deboard safely and have the students in a safe place, that would be preferred. But again, tornadoes pop up and sometimes you have to react. So we have very defined process in that case. And in transportation in general, whether it's a truck or a bus, you always want to park that large vehicle either back end, or we call it tail end, or the front end into the wind. So less likely for it to blow over. And then from a student perspective, we want those students to be as low on the ground as possible. We say below window level. Okay. And we want them to cover themselves with something that they have. Typically have a book bag so they can put that over their heads. Yeah. A coat, something in case there's flying debris. Yeah. They can protect themselves.
So that is in the event of something, essentially a tornado showing up right in front of the driver.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
So transportation and families really have to work together, right? Because we got bus stops, and you mentioned earlier being able to collaborate to keep the children around Bells Ferry Elementary safe because the sidewalks were closed and so forth. What are a few simple things that parents and families can do in collaboration with you guys to help keep our children safe as they're trying to get to and from school?
Well, the first thing I'll say, and what I really appreciate you saying, is collaboration. It's really encouraging to me when the parents and my staff, on my team, we have the same common goal, and that's the safety of the students to and from school. So collaboration is a key word to me. I've had a lot of great conversations with parents, from our community, and some things brought to my attention that may have been a safety concern, and we've worked through those and made adjustments to routes or stops. But I think one, from an understanding standpoint, if our parents and students can really understand the safety rules of the bus, the bus, as we say, is an extension of the classroom, right? And so coming on the bus and behaving in a certain manner is what we need to do. So be seated. Different in the classroom, we can talk, but yelling, screaming, and that type of thing is a distraction to our driver. So I think about when I was driving my kids around when they were younger, and they're
I'll turn this car around.
Right. I mean, so it's
you can't
a distraction.
Do that with a bus, right?
Right. It's a distraction. So if we're being mindful of that when we're on the bus, it's really helpful to the driver to make sure that we have safe transit.
Okay. So just parents reinforcing the behavior
Correct.
on the bus is really, really key.
Correct.
Let me ask you about things to come, because you had told me that there are some exciting things on the horizon. What are some of the priorities or improvements that families can look forward to, either finishing out this school year or come the beginning of next school year, that can help with the overall relationship between families and transportation?
Yeah, well, I think everybody knows that we currently have an app that allows families to see the bus, track the bus, see when their students are coming. But there is some communication there, but it isn't to the level that we'd like to see it.
Okay.
So we are in the process of a technology transformation. All right. And we are updating and upgrading our systems. We actually have one cluster, the Altoona cluster, is live on that system today. So we're getting ahead of it and figuring out the bugs and the things that we need to
working out the kinks.
Exactly. And it's gone very well so far. But what we're excited about, and to answer your question about the communication piece, is in the new app that will be utilized as we go forward. There's much better communication. So when there's a change in the bus, there's a delay on the route, the system will automatically send out messages to the families and caregivers that have the app and have that downloaded, and give that notification that there's some kind of change. We also then, as the transportation leadership, have the ability to go in and send messages out and push messages out. So if we have something that isn't automated, we can do that to make sure we communicate and the families know as quickly as possible. The one thing, and just a kind of a sidebar, the one thing I think is really cool about this technology versus what we have today is we have several families in our district that are not primary English-speaking families.
Okay.
The new app has the ability that you can go in and select your language of preference, and
great.
everything that comes through in that app will be in that specific language, even the canned messages that go out. The only thing that doesn't translate into that specific language is anything that we freeform and send out individually, but all the others is in Spanish, or whatever language I choose.
And the free form, I would guess they could easily cut and paste into a translator online.
They could, yeah.
So, well, Mike, this is great. Some exciting things have been happening. You guys we didn't even touch on some of the awards that you guys have gotten. You do an annual rodeo, I think you call it, for bus driving skills, and you've got recruitment events. Are you hurting for bus drivers at this point, or is that?
So we're in pretty good shape, and again, me learning the history. When we came out of COVID, there was a significant shortage of drivers, and the team did a very nice job executing through that and delivering and picking up students during that time. But we're in good shape. We have spare drivers, backup drivers that help us execute on a daily basis.
It's kind of like substitute teachers.
Exactly. And then we also have staff that are in the office and part of the management team that have their CDLs and have driven buses and have the ability to get in and go
that's great.
Help execute too. So we're in good shape.
It's probably good for them to get it and you to get out and get that real world feel and experience it. Well, thank you so much for coming by and taking some time. We hope to be able to do a podcast with you before next school year so that people who might be nervous about sending young ones, maybe they haven't ridden the bus before, can make sure they understand the whole process and it goes as smoothly as possible. So thanks again. I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
If you found something helpful, make sure you give us a like. It helps the algorithms know to recommend it to others. Also, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Thank you for listening to The Inside Scoop, a podcast produced by the Cobb County School District.